Sick. Hey guys, how's it going? Chris here, and welcome to another episode of Filmmaker React, which, as I'm sure you guys seen from the title, is all about Starcraft. You guys mentioned that I need to check 3 cinematics from Starcraft 2, so we're gonna do that today. Now, I know some of you guys have mentioned that I would get a lot more by knowing the lore behind what we're watching, but if I knew it, how would we have this cool kind of like reaction to the cinematic trailers before we dive in to have the cool discussion about them? You know what I mean? Before we get started, guys, I want to say a massive thank you for your support. We reached 100k in the channel so fast, and I couldn't be more happy. And many of you send me a lot of messages if there's gonna be a sale over summer or something. So I'm happy to report, in order to like celebrate hitting 100k, I've put a massive sale on the Creatrix store for you guys for the next 10 days of summer. So if you're following me before with the tutorials and the visual effects, that's awesome, guys. This is the time for you. But also, if you're new to the channel and you love the reactions and you want to dive in and have like a cool starting hobby over the summer, and maybe having it being something that you really, have fun doing, have a look in the tutorials, guys, and have a look in the Creatrix store sale, because the top assets and the top packs are all heavily discounted for you guys. So I will have the links in the description. Have a look, you never know. And that is it, guys. Massive thank you. So let's dive in now over to YouTube and get started with the awesome cinematic trailer. So I have all of them 3 pulled up, so let's just dive right into it, because I have no clue what to expect other than space. Solid. 1, 2, 3.
They say a man never really knows himself.
Okay.
Until his freedom's been taken away.
True. Wow, this one is an oldie.
I wonder,
Sick though.
how well do you know yourself?
Who is it? Arnold?
Prisoners, step forward onto the platform.
Prisoner with a cigar? That's a cool. Wow, this bro lifts. Blizzard Entertainment presents.
Convict 626. Murderer.
Pirate?
Traitor. Today, you go free.
What? Suit up? It's kind of like the Pacific Rim, like.
But, as you'll soon learn, even freedom has a price.
What is that? Is it screwed on him? What? DA.
Combat suit sealed and locked.
Whoa.
You carry your prison with you.
That is sick.
Will be your new cell.
Your new shell.
Make no mistake. War is coming. With all its glory. And all its horror. Mr. Findlay,
What?
your freedom awaits.
Oh, I've seen this wallpaper.
It's about time.
Okay. Nice. Wings of Liberty. Is that it? Nice. Wow! Okay, this is actually exciting now. This is gonna sound dumb, I know. But you know, like the suit up, like how massive the suit is, and the guy, I mean, the guy was massive as well, to be fair. A bit comically massive, but I think that I get this kind of like the style of the art. It kind of reminded me like the Astartes suits, like how massive those were and like how someone is inside them. So that was sick. Okay, so let's jump on to the next one. When was this, by the way? 2010. Damn. Okay. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. Use of alcohol and tobacco. Interesting. Thank you for the recommendations, by the way, guys. You guys are awesome. Whoa, we stepped out. Oh, that's...
I am the swarm. Armies will be shattered.
What is that?
Worlds will burn.
Oh! Oh, that's disgusting. It's like the mothership. Oh. What on? That didn't last long. Ooh, here we go. Yes. Oh, oh my god. That is sick.
Now at last, on this world, vengeance shall be mine.
What on earth is happening? That's Statue of Liberty? What is it?
For I am the Queen of Blades.
Ooh, that is sick. What? What? I'm gonna say it again. What? So she was not like the heart of the swarm. So she was not like the mothership, kind of like Queen Alien? Guys, I know I ask too much sometimes, but can you please, in the comments? Thank you. So let's up to the final one, and let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. I'm very excited. I'm so like... Blizzard presents this summer or winter. Okay.
The swarm brought ruin to our world. Our
Is this
proud
Earth?
people became refugees.
What is that?
And yet, they could not shatter our unity.
Is that like another race? Whoa.
For we are bound by the color, the sacred union of our every thought.
What? Combined. Ooh! Energy blades, baby. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Black hole. What is that? Oh, sick! What is going on, mate? How many? Sword. Okay, yeah. What? What is going on? Nice. Oh, that was sick. They're not done. It's like the only one left. Oh, yes! What? Oh!
We retake our homeworld, and with it, our legacy.
Oh my god. Yes! Yes, guys! Legacy of the Void. Oh, that was sick. 2015. God, what is wrong with me, man? Man! Thank you so much, guys. Your recommendations in the comment sections are always just like so spot on. I know that I'm saying that I'm a gamer, but you know, I was gaming a lot more in the past, I'm not gonna lie, but I was more of like the Final Fantasy guy or the Uncharted guy or the God of War guy, you know what I mean? More like story-driven storytelling because of like, you know, filmmaking and stuff. I was more like tuned to those. But I've heard the titles of these ones, but man, how sick are those? Do I sound like a girl right now? Man, that was sick. Oh, thank you guys. Let me know what's next. Overwatch, League of Legends. Oh man, we're gonna do every single thing, guys, cause one day this will get bumped by me and it will fall and we will have a laugh. Just saying. Yeah, we'll go through everything, guys, because these are just awesome and I love watching them. I just turned into a 9-year-old kid again, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't lost that, like, touch of, like, just, like, energy blades and power and... Oh, man, the third episode was so freaking sick. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling and we're gonna jump into the analysis part and we're gonna start back from number 1.
He knows himself.
Very cool. So they open up with narration, but again, I think it's kind of like, because it's the exact same voice that they used to say, prisoner, da da da, your freedom, da da da. It's supposed to kind of talk to the character, but they do this trick that we've seen in previous episodes, that they talk indirectly to us to give us like exposition and info. Because, yeah, it's very cool how they bring up the scene, because it's a sci-fi, but it's a very gritty design. Like, you have two kinds, kind of like, of sci-fi. One can be very pretty and elegant. For example, what movie was the one with the sky with Matt Damon? That was like Elysium. Elysium was very beautiful. You had this kind of trees with purple leaves and everything was very clean, clinical and minimal. And then you have the sci-fi that is more gritty, dirty, and like futuristic, and it's very cool because they use the lights to bring up the scene itself as if this room was completely dark before, and they just open up the lights. You guys are getting tired of me bringing up the example of the what was it, man? Of the Tokyo Ghoul sort that I did, but I did the same thing in the bathroom. I used the switch that one would have for the bathroom light to bring up the scene when it was the previous one was faded to black, and I used that one to bring up the scene, and of course it was always on. But it's cool to use like natural light to bring up the scene itself versus fading in, fading out, or just cutting right in. That was a bit too much. So that was cool.
Until his freedom's been taken away.
Some very cool things. I love the smoke design. A very cool room. So he's gonna come
Do
in.
you know yours?
In order to do this in real life, of course, you would have to either have extreme amounts of money to build a set, or do it all within a green screen, and then you will need a studio that is an entire green screen room, as well as a lot of artists that can create basically exactly the way this works, exactly the same way as it does in games. It's just the quality of the texture is different. I don't know if you guys saw the PS5 tech demo with Unreal Engine 5, but basically it's the same thing. In movies, you have so much raw power to render things, not in real time obviously, so the assets and the 3D models that you can use are like photorealistic by now. So you will have a 3D artist design the room of sci-fi, then you will have texture people, you will have animators, you will have compositors and things like that. That's where my kind of like expertise in post-production lies. It's VFX compositing, not VFX design. Some people get this kind of like mixed up a bit. So the door opens very dramatically. You will have a built-up in sound effect. Sound design is very key, guys. Sound can actually, most of the times, do wonders more than visuals. It's cool because they have him in shadow and he has just enough of an edge light here, like I do, but here of course it's very toned down to like give us a bit of definition. And of course we see like a badass guy with a cigar, because why not?
Prisoners, step forward onto the platform.
That is a cool effect actually, as the cigar goes up, his face light up. That's pretty cool. Now it's interesting because we don't have a straight kind of cam shot when it comes to his face. We kind of see him from the side and up. Again, usually when you have the angle of the camera looking up someone, it's more empowering versus looking down on them. Cool. So he walks out. I like when Blizzard brings in the titles. So he steps in.
626 murderer.
We get more exposition from what the guy says of what this guy has been up to, and then we have a very, very cool suit up scene, which is basically a ton of close-ups when it comes to the suit being brought on him. If you guys know, of course, the super cool Iron Man scenes where you have the close-ups when it comes to like the way they shoot it, when you get the armor kind of blending in and then different parts all coming together until the last scene when you're ready to rock and kill monsters.
Tyrant.
This is what I love, and this is what I think many people liked in the original Star Wars, is that like it's super futuristic and like super like in the future, but you have kind of like steampunk like tech when it comes to like screens or some other things. And like the prequel trilogy, which I liked when I was a kid, that's how I got introduced to Star Wars, so I didn't mind it as much. There were problems for sure that I was able to realize as I got older, but I still love the things. And the new trilogy in Star Wars, it was very clean, very clinical, versus the old one had that cool grittiness, that kind of like legacy tech together blended with like sci-fi stuff. But like in terms of color grading, they could have gone a lot of ways here, and one would have been the classic cyan and orange. Basically, kind of like a blue and orange, those two, because they're kind of like opposites, complement each other really beautifully. But you can see that you don't always have to go to the norm when it comes to sci-fi, for example. Here, they used a lovely gradient of green and yellow to kind of like make things work. Actually, in an old concept that I did myself, which was called Paragon, and it was kind of like a sci-fi take, it had, when I was in the tube and the eyes came up, it was kind of like a greenish teal and yellow-green kind of combination of colors. And it just goes to show you that not all things need to look the same in order to be like elegant and have a very pleasing image to the eye.
Even freedom has a price.
Oh man. So the suit is blue though for contrast. That's interesting. So the suit gets built into him, and we have the hands, and again the close-ups. I love this.
You can't. War is coming.
I love this. Is a very cool technique to like ramp up the audience at the end of a trailer or a movie or a cliffhanger scene basically, or like an after credit scene maybe, is like have kind of like the main hero or the main character and have them like do something either getting up dramatic or something, and then intercut between different actions, and here we see the monsters and what's coming in the fight, so that's really sick.
With all its glory.
Sick. I remember seeing this wallpaper, man, on Google. Like, it would pop up so much. But
Hell, it's about time.
sick. So that was really cool, but I want to focus on the other ones, because those are just sick. So let's go. Blizzard. Man, I love this scene. And again, because it's... In this one, for example, they actually removed almost any trace of color from the environment, and they just let the fire-breathing orangey color of the fire and the explosions just like add color and contrast of color in the scenes, which was really sick. And this interesting thing, because in this world, do you see how desaturated it is? Every decision behind the art style of something plays a key role. The reason why they did this is because they want you to feel the bleakness of this world when it comes to the visual aspect of it. They want you to feel that there's no life here. You know what I mean? So that is the sick. And I'll... Sick. I love how they reveal the mothership kind of like thing, and how disgusting it is. Sick. See how vibrant the explosions are?
I am the swarm. Armies will be shattered.
Sick.
Worlds will burn.
I love kind of like point of view shots. If you remember in the Astartes, we kind of looked at how like you were on top of the ship when it launched in space. Here, they give you the perspective of the little monsters that just launch into Earth or whatever planet this is, I would guess. And it's a very cool perspective. So now we know where they come from, the way they get out, and what they look like, which is disgusting. And now we change perspective from up the sky down to the ground, to the shoulders of looking at those things, kind of like falling into an earth. And again, the timing is kind of different because you want to save time. You want to save your audience's time and keep them as engaged as possible. So here, they, run off a bit of time. Like the little monster thing was not as close to the ground, but we can cut up to the ones further in and have those cut in the next scene. And you guys know how we talked about in previous episodes, how it's really cool to cut between two scenes within a connecting action within the frame. Here is those little monsters coming down. Very smart way to use kind of like smoke or particles or things like that to transition to another scene. This is really clever because technically we didn't cut, but because of the smoke you don't know where it moved. So that's really cool. Pop, 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 pop. I mean, damn, that is a Mazu flash, if I've ever seen one. When it comes to Mazu flashes, guys, it's really important to look. There are a lot of things that go into a gunshot, and I've done a very advanced gunshot tutorial when it comes to the visuals, as well as the sound design. Actually, still, the most famous video is the kind of like tech VFX demo of the gun things going off, the VFX, as well as the free sound pack. Now, you need to showcase a flare, not always, by the way. Don't put massive flares on each gunshot, that is just gets boring, but you will need a flare. But whenever there is a flare, there needs to be a light affecting the subject or things close to the subject. If you're close to a wall, put a flare on the wall. And again, the tutorial, if you want to do this kind of like with live action things, is on the channel. But it's really cool how many small things go in together to create an effect. And again, like the flare, that's how long the light cast lasts, and then it goes on. See? This is very interesting, guys. You know how I just said, do not over make the flares too much because it gets boring? Look at the next flare. We have a massive flare, but then the next one is just a tiny little bit. And that's it. Because it gets boring if everything is big and massive and awesome. You know? Keep it down. Show something super cool. Have the next one be a bit less. The one be like 75% or like something. You know what I mean. But yeah. Nice. This was sick though. That. See? I love how the transition from the monster, once it's close to us, it just goes through. It kind of reminds me like when I was young and I would look at the Godzilla, the one in New York with the little baby Godzilla things, like how the camera will be at its feet and it will look as it goes through us or like passes by us. So that kind of like camera sloping move is pretty cool. And then we're gonna zoom in. That is such an old technique. That was like done so much in 300, the Spartans movie, how you would zoom in and out in the action. That is not used as much currently. It was kind of it is considered a tiny bit tacky now, but back then it was a very famous thing to pull. Damn, man. That looks... I think there's a very slight homage to a very famous sound effect. Let me try to see if that's the case. Yes, okay. It's really hard to notice, guys, but I'm sure many of you have already noticed this throughout the years of watching movies. There is a very famous dying sound effect that is very comical, and it's kind of like the sound effect, and many filmmakers pay homage to that by incorporating to some kind of form of death scene. For example, it was in Star Wars when a stormtrooper falls, and it's a very comical thing, and it's just like an inside joke between filmmakers. And when they make a movie and there's a death scene, they will put that sound. Now sometimes it's really dramatic and like it's just comical. It's like but here I'm pretty sure they used it because I've heard it so many times, and there's just like the slightest adjustment to it for the very keen ear to listen to. It's definitely there, 100%. Let me guys know if you can hear it as well. And now we get kind of like a drone overhead shot of the entire battlefield and just the mayhem that the monsters get. Cool design. I love this effect. I'm not gonna talk about Ivy's effect, so I've done it so much in the other episodes, but I love the design of these veins kind of thing in her skin and how that like they illuminate. Skin is very hard in the sense that it moves independently by itself. If I stretch this, you know, this will not stretch. So when you try to compose things on top of your skin, it's very tricky to track because the skin is elastic, meaning certain parts of it expand and contract way differently than other parts depending on the expression. Now a way you can kind of like cheat is to have the actor act out nothing. Do not have them have some very minimal movement, or like if you have to move the eyes, move them like very slowly and like don't overstretch the facial expression, and then track things like this in. But there are also some very advanced kind of like plugins that you can do within After Effects that will provide a very impressive track, and they will replicate the elasticity of the skin on the asset that you try to compose on it. Very advanced stuff. I hope one day there is a tutorial depending on a project that I will do if it has this effect. Super cool. That's so cool. Guys, please explain this to me. She looks awesome. Was she infected and then she turned to that? Oh, what happened, man? Sick. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go to the last one. And again, I have no idea what's happening, but it was just sick. And I know I need to up my vocabulary in terms of like sick, awesome, but come on guys, give me a break. This is so cool. So we have another planet or something.
The swarm brought ruin to our world.
So this is called an establishing shot, basically, when you open very, very wide and you have a kind of like very smooth camera pan transition into something. And that is just meant to show the audience kind of where we are, establish the scene, and then cut to what matters, which is a character, a conversation, an action, things like that. Disgusting.
Our proud people.
Beautiful light, by the way, again. Do you see, unfortunately, most of the times things in real life do not look as like epic as they do in movies, and that is because of how a filmmaker or an artist for a cinematic for a video game chooses to use light. When you have a sunset or a sunrise, we saw these guys with the fight scene in the Assassin's Creed Valhalla trailer, how much the light affects the scene. So here they do the exact same thing, see? They have a beautiful light coming from this side, darkness coming from this side, there's a great contrast in between the two, and it just like creates this amazing scenery. Because if it was just like pure day, it wouldn't really fit, because this is like a dark, bleak kind of like fight between monsters, a swarm of monsters, and like the guys that try to protect their planet, their land.
Kala, the sacred union of our
I love this kind of like slow motion and kind of like circling around a character kind of scene. I would love to do kind of like a, you know, when the main character is kind of like beaten up and he's on the ground and he has this very powerful kind of like circular motion of him standing up, charging his weapon or summoning keyblades or something, and then just like getting back to the fight. If you guys remember, again, if you guys remember in the first ever Avengers movie, how Captain America finally said Avengers Assemble or something, how it was like everyone would come in, Thor would get up, twist his hammer, Captain America will position his shield, Iron Man will charge his little weapons, Hulk would like Hulk out. It was kind of like the same kind of like peristropic movement around our characters before like it goes down. So really sick. Oh my god. We need to see this 5,000 times before it even starts to get tiring. Look at the composition, mate. How it goes in the camera lens. Look at this. And then he cuts the moment we're in, and then he cuts to this like, he puts up the shield, then the thing gets crushed. Oh my god, and it expands to protect him. That is just like sick. Look at this. I can do this all day. Oh my god. So what I do many times, guys, is I will watch things like this and I will go frame by frame and just study them and see how something moves, the little intricacies in how they design something in order to understand it. And this is a really cool way. If you're like trying to do VFX or you're trying to do filmmaking, pick up your favorite cinematics or pick up your favorite things and then just pause them. Go frame by frame, see when they cut, seeing what they cut to. Did they change lenses? Did the perspective change? Did they go to a wide? Did they go to a close-up? How did the cut happen? That is how you learn. Do not be afraid to study something and then try to replicate it. That's how we all learn. No one woke up and it was Scorsese, you know what I mean? Have a look at his earlier work. What he says is go and just try to do something. And I'm a big fan of like having a lesson and then try to replicate it. Because when you pull it off, you start to understand things and then pull off many lessons and tutorials off, and then your brain is just gonna start working and just having that clicky moment and say, what if I combine Chris's tutorial that with tutorial that and then try to make that? And then you'll pull it off. You'll see. That's how I started. Sick. Oh, so freaking cool. Now, I'm gonna be lame. I really don't get what this like warp thing does. Like, do they get energy from it? Does it communicate something? I have no clue. We can, oh man, look at the ashes and the embers fall. Cinematic particles, Creatrix store. This is my favorite scene. I'm gonna play it once, and then I'm gonna play it again in frame by frame. Sick. Just sick. I wanna do this with dual lightsabers or keyblades. Can you imagine having Oblivion and Oathkeeper and it's just like summoning them and be like, that would be so sick. It needs to happen. I don't know when. Too many thoughts. Okay. Oh, can you imagine dual lightsabers ignite like this from the back as you see what someone has to fight? Oh, come on. One. Oh, I like... This is actually, I'm gonna talk to this when we do another Star Wars cinematics react, because you guys gave me some very good ideas. But in general, the way you do a sick ignition is you let some particles and some energy come up first, but you keep the light quite low, whether it is an optical flare or the glow values, and then about 2 frames in, we say 1, 2, 3. About 2 frames in, you brighten everything up, whether it is the saturation of the color, the glow and the range of it, or just the optical flare that brings it all in, and then you dial it back down, do you see? And then the saber, the energy sword is just out and just sick. That visual impact of something going really, really makes things just like awesome. Sick. Oh my god, that blast. Come on me, bro.
Our legacy.
We saw it in the Battle of Azeroth trailer when at the end they just like clash together, and that's when the title comes in. It's a really cool way to end something and leave the audience just like craving for more. But, yeah. And then the title comes in. Sick. Awesome. Man, what an awesome cinematic. Now, I'm not a massive fan for horror, whether it is like horror in terms of like ghosts or like horror in terms of like sci-fi, like something like Aliens, but something about it I also love. So it's kind of those things that I'll be in the movie theaters and be kind of like this if I'm by myself. If I'm with a girl, I'll just be like, don't worry babe, I'll let you know when to open your eyes. Yeah, I'm that guy. But yeah, anyways, when it comes to horror, like I'll usually be like this, and then like, but I cannot now watch at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things you love and hate at the same time. So I don't know, it's so cool. I like this. This was awesome. Thank you so much guys for your recommendation. Let me know what comes next. It's probably gonna be Overwatch. I'm not gonna lie, because you guys told me it's a really cool series, so I'm probably gonna do that, but I always want to know any ideas, guys. I have a huge kind of like blackboard with all where I put, okay, Dom said this, okay, Ellen said this, you know, and I just put them all up and I have like a huge wall. So anything that you guys can think of, Hellblade, it doesn't matter, just like let me know in the comment section below. Check out the Creatrix store sale, guys. It's gonna be up for 10 days. I really hope you can find something to be inspired with and start working on filmmaking stuff and cool VFX scenes. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Until then, stay awesome and creative.